Alright, here we go. We're going to solve for the vertex this time, which means our equation is going to look a little bit different. We're going to have a little extra work to do with it. So warm-up thought is, how do we deal with just the idea of symmetry? So how many lines of symmetry can you put in each figure? Dial this down a little bit. So we're trying to see if each of these are symmetric. So one thing that we have definitely dealt with is the axis of symmetry right through here. So we know there's just one for our parabola here. Looks like my computer's lagging pretty good right now. Okay. Right here, there doesn't seem to be any which way to slice this thing. So there are 0. And when we start looking at our stop sign, we have each of the sides. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the vertices. So I think we're up to 8. Right, just a way to start looking at things that are symmetric. Now here's what I mean. We're going to have some equations. We're going to start off with things in standard form. And what we're working on is trying to get these to change themselves so we can figure out where is the middle. Because we threw in this middle part here, this linear idea. So they're not just right down the middle where we moved it up or down from the C value. So here's what we got. We got A is 1, B is 3. So what I have to do is negative b, so negative 3 over 2 times 1, so negative 3 over 2 is the axis of symmetry. Okay, so for that, it is that vertical line, so it's x equals, and that is the middle, that's the beginning of our vertex. So that's all we have to do to get started. So right here, a is 2, b is negative 2, so negative b is negative, negative 2. So it's going to be positive 2 over 2. So I have negative 2 over 4, or negative 1/2. Not too bad. A is negative 2, B is 4. So we have negative 4 over negative 4. Well, that gives us 1. Alright, so what we're doing is we're finding for each of these parabolas whatever is happening. So here, this one, we know it's going to open down, but we know it's going to go over this way. So we're finding the middle, and then we know it's going to go upside down somewhere through here. That should be our vertex. All right, that's the grand idea that we're after today. The other thing we can do is we plug in x is 0. We're always going to get C. So we're going to just list the ordered pair. If I plug in 0, 0, 0, I get 4. So that gives us one of the ordered pairs that we can use to graph. So if I plug in 0, I get negative 6. And this is going to help me graph as I put together the vertex and everything else going on. So we're going to plug in 0. 0 is going in for all the x's. So I get negative 1. So if we put that together with the previous slide, we're getting part of the vertex, and then we're getting a y-intercept to get started with. Alright, so let's put it all together, figure out how do we get the second half of all of that, because half the vertex and a y-intercept are really not that helpful just yet. So here's what we have. We have A is negative 1, B is 4, so negative B over 2 times A, so I have negative 4 over negative 2, I have 2 so far. So what I know is we're going to have a vertical line through 2. That's the middle of our parabola. Then what we're going to do with it is we're going to plug that 2 in for those x's. So negative 2 squared plus 4 times 2 minus 2. Alright, so 2 squared is 4, so negative 4 plus 8 minus 2. Alright, so negative 4 plus 8 is 4, minus 2, so we get 2. So it means the vertex is located at 2, 2, so 2, 2. And we also know with the C value, we're going to have 0 with negative 2. Since this red line is a line of symmetry, if I go down here, if I go 2 to the left, that's where I find it. So that means if I go 2 to the right, I should have another point. And I connect all 3 of these. And just double check. Grand idea. And the a value is -1, so it should open down. Okay, so that is what this whole section is about, being able to graph. And it all starts with -b over 2a, plugging it back in. All right, so I believe we're going to do that 1 or 2 times just to get a little more familiar with it. So -b is +6 over 2a. Right, so I get a, I get b. So I get 6 divided by 2 is plain old 3. So I'm going to go to my graph right now where x is 3. I'm going to draw a line. That's the middle of my parabola. We're getting somewhere. So here we go. 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 4. So we're going to take this and we're going to plug it in. So the vertex is 3, and we're going to find out the other half of it in just a second. So 3 squared is 9, minus 3 times 6 is 18, plus 4. These guys should always be half of each other. Okay, I don't know why I whispered that, but it's super important, because if we get fractions and weird numbers, that's going to happen, then we can figure it out that we're doing okay if they're always half of each other. So -9 plus 4, that's -5. So -5, 4, 5, here we are, the whole way down here. And the other thing that we want to use is always the c value. So that means if I plug in 0, I get 4. 0, 4. That means we also want to make sure we're the whole way up here. 0, 4. In the grand scheme of things, remember the a value was +1, and this parabola opens up. It doesn't look exactly symmetric, but you get the idea. I'm hitting the points that we need from all of our algebra that we're doing, so we know we're in good shape. Alright, so same idea. Let's say we can go to a basketball game, and they're going to shoot some slingshot t-shirts out there. Sounds like a great time. I've been to one where they shot out hot dogs. That was great. I had to get one, but I love it. It's a great idea. Alright, so some things that we'll use consistently in algebra class is -16 becomes the a value. The initial velocity or upward velocity is always going to be the b value, and they had a height of 5 feet to get started, so that makes up the equation. Typically in Algebra 1 we give you the equation, not a big deal. Here's where the fun begins. They said we're going to find the t-shirt's maximum height. Okay, alright. What do they want? Remember, that means vertex. Okay, so they're asking for the vertex. So what are we going to do? Same thing we have been doing. -b. That's not 16. Crazy animal. -b over 2a. Alright, so we get -64 divided by -32. So 2. That means it's going to take 2 seconds. So that's how much time. Now we have to plug 2 in here. -16, 2 squared plus 64 times 2 plus 5. Alright, so 2 squared is 4. We're going to have -64 right here, plus 128, plus 5. Remember, these are always half, so I know this is going to become +64 plus 5. So that means this t-shirt, after 2 seconds, was shot in the air. It was 69 feet up in the air. 2 seconds, 69 feet. That's crazy. I love it. All right, now we said it's not always going to work out exactly that way, but some things that are in common. Algebra class, -16 is the a value. Here's b. Why is that the b? An upward velocity of 72 feet per second. And again, they were launching it from 5 feet. This time it's in the picture. All right, so no space on here. But I tell you what we'll do is we'll set up -b over 2a on this slide, and then I have on the next slide some space to finish it out, because we're going to find out it starts off basically the same, except for this is 2.25. So that's going to take a little bit more writing to do that. 2.25, remember that. Okay, so -16, 2.25 squared plus 72 times 2.25 plus 5. All right, so all in all, we're going to be at 86 feet. Okay, so 2.25 seconds, 86 feet. So, you know, the other one made it to, 69 feet. So this group, they really know what they're doing with that slingshot. All right, so let's see if we can match these up. And we just want to make sure we focus on a couple things first. Notice in 2 and 3, these have a c value but no b value. Okay, so that means these are going to just move up and down. So if number 2, let me grab my number 2 here. Number 2 is a parabola that has moved up 6 and is upside down. So that was right where we were. And number 3 is going to be a parabola that has moved down and opens up. So that's D. All right, out of my last two, since we're down to 50-50 here, number 1, this one is upside down. So let's take our number 1 over here. So now number 3 must be here. Now the other thing that goes along with what we're talking about today, -b is now 6 over 2a is going to be negative. So this should go to the left. Problem is, at number 4 we have the same thing. -b over 2a also goes to the left. So those two things aren't going to help out too much. Oh my goodness, I dropped the wrong numbers in there, didn't I? So this is 4, and this one's 3. I was so worried about the numbers up here that I didn't bother looking at the numbers that I had dragging around there. Alright, so just trying to look at A, B, and C, how these numbers affect the graph. We know that A in particular is going to tell us whether it opens up or down. Okay, so that's going to be your smiley faces versus your frowny faces. C is going to tell us about an intercept. And B just lets us know we're going to start moving left and right. Alright, so how can we use all this information and plot something on here in your pair deck for class so we can see if you followed along and you're able to work a little bit independently. If not, check the takeaways and I'll have some information in there for you. Alright, so again, you want to reflect on these. I'm not going to give you a ton of problems to work on. I just want to make sure that you have the right idea, and of course including what questions do you still have. That way we can continue the conversation for your understanding.